order. We are available through Zoom and as well as a
Sorry, I got
dial-in
something in my
phone.
car, I'll be right back.
We need you for quorum.
All right,
Do we have quorum without it?
we have quorum with us.
Yeah, I'll be right back, I just forgot something.
We have, we have public comment. Do we have anybody from public, want to make public comment?
No hands raised.
Okay, we will move on to the next one. The Assistant Town Manager was here momentarily, so we will wait for his return to get to the update from the Assistant Town Manager. I don't see that we have anybody from OCAN, so I will just say that OCAN has a meeting next week, and so I think that that meeting is on the 13th in the afternoon. It's a Zoom meeting. I will be attending that meeting, see what things OCAN is up to. I did talk to them at their previous meeting, which was last month, and I told them that this committee was sending a letter to the select board asking that we begin the process of acquiring a vendor to start the climate action roadmap for town of Orleans. And so I think they are either drafting a letter or maybe maybe thinking about coming to the select board meeting and public comment. One of those two options. I think they're leaning towards a letter from them to the select board. So that's, I think, as much as I can say about what I know about OCAN up until this point. So I think they'll be talking about that on this meeting on the 13th.
Was it January 13th?
January 13th. It's a Zoom call. If anybody wants to attend, I always get the Zoom link and I can send it to anybody that's interested. Okay, so we're going to move on to approval of the 2025 annual town report submission. This is due on Wednesday, January 14th. There's two things that they asked for, that the committee send the annual report in Word format. They asked that it be a one-pager. They do allow for us to have data. So I gave you a start point of things that I thought were important. When I printed it out, I realized I had a section in bold. I will unbold that. Does anybody have comments on this? This is a very brief overview, I think.
Yeah.
But although it captures a lot of what we did, the adaptation part, I'm not sure I did that fully justice.
I have two comments. One is on adaptation. I'm not sure when it says the ECAC looked to track the town, I'm not sure what looked to track the progress
So,
means.
because this really was a new goal for us for 2025, we didn't have much of a starting point with this. And so I kind of felt like we moved into 2025 with the idea of making contact with town officials and kind of getting involved in the process. So I think that's kind of where we are. But
Could I suggest instead of looked to track,
sure.
says plans to track? I realize that's probably a small.
I was hoping that Hakeem would give us, you've done the most on this topic. Do you think this is an adequate description, or do you think there could be more added to it?
I guess the difference between what you wrote and what Roger suggests is whether it has started or not.
Yeah, and I kind of thought the impression was that we had started, but I didn't have anything concrete to report. That's maybe what I was.
Well, the main thing that has been ongoing has been trying to see when the MVP, the vulnerability plan, will be updated. So I would say that's a part where there's been some progress, but other than that, not much has happened. So.
Do you think it makes sense to just say that the municipal vulnerability plan will be will be updated in 2026?
Yes.
Okay. Why don't we add that?
Okay. To support the fact that work has been ongoing.
Let me just talk very briefly about this municipal energy use
Okay,
table.
I have one other comment on the text. Under private projects, the energy navigators.
Yes.
I'd like to add at the end of the second sentence, this talks about the farmer's market, but I'd also give, and met with citizens at the council on aging.
Okay, yep, we'll can make that adjustment.
Yep.
On this municipal energy use table. So I know that this doesn't give us, I guess I would say, this is like the 4th year that we've put this table in. If you wanted to track this data over time, you'd have to look at multiple annual reports, but it has been consistent. And in doing this, I'm going to point out that what I think was most significant about this report is we continue to increase the electricity use, and I think that's a combination of increased electricity use for water, sewer, wells treatment. The wastewater treatment plant continues to grow. I think we are now at 923,000 kilowatt hours in a year, up from, I think it was close to 880,000 last year. So it continues to grow, and
That's to operate the sewer treatment
that's
plant?
the operating sewer treatment. And, obviously, we haven't yet brought phase 2 online. And that's going to add to the flows and will likely, I would think, grow the electricity for that.
Can we add some verbiage to that effect, or at least a sentence introducing the table?
I could do that as, I could either put that in the very first sentence to say, look, this table below, continues to show increased energy use for electricity. Like I said, it's hard to be able, there's a lot of bases of things here. The most other significant thing I thought I noticed here was Orleans Elementary School had a substantial plus up in electricity use. Last year, they were under 200,000 kilowatt hours. And this year, they're at 274,000. And the gas dropped by almost 5,000 therms. So that's some pretty big energy moves. We had the project that has been ongoing for the elementary school for changeover in the HVAC system, and I think that's a question more than I would say. I saw it, but I don't understand it as to why that. What did we save energy by having recovery units now that we didn't have before, and therefore we saved energy on the heating side, the natural gas side, but we had more energy used to be able to do that because we were running running the wheels and probably had more ventilation flow as a result. Anyway, it was noticeable. It was one of the noticeable things about the raw data when I compared that with FY24.
I kind of agree that the table has more meaning if it shows a trend. Now, I realize it would be too crowded if we showed both 25 and 24 numbers, so maybe, like you said, just a statement. But to me, more importantly than the electricity use has gone up, is to see that the hydrocarbon
Has gone down.
Exactly. I mean, the ideal world is electricity didn't go up, but hydrocarbon went down. But, if there's a compensation from one to the other, it still makes sense.
Yeah.
But,
You know, that was, like I said, I looked at that and I was not alarmed by the electricity increase, because like I said, I kind of saw it offset by the natural gas cut.
yeah, so that's a good point to put in there.
If you- Again, I would reiterate, if we don't have a comparison, if we. so-
You have to go back to, I mean, all this data is in the last year,
No, I
the same
understand.
format, but it's not.
I'm just saying, the verbiage, the things that you're talking about, we should add.
Yeah, maybe that's something that could go into the energy efficiency decarbonization, a comment to that effect, and cite the elementary school project. I mean, like I said, I would love to have, you know,
Didn't we
the
just-
director of facilities kind of comment on this, but
Can't we just add a section in bold, town energy consumption? And then say town energy consumption is shown in the table below. And then after that sentence, add that some of the things you just mentioned.
I certainly, yeah, I can do, I could do some comments above, below that, that just kind of captures the feel that, electricity continues to grow,
Right.
but we did see a reduction in natural gas usage.
Because it serves two purposes. One is to show the numbers, but the other is to show that we're tracking it. There's a tracking effort that could be captured.
And even if just, you could use, green to show color, numbers that have increased since last year, and red to show numbers that, they don't have to be green and red.
Or the other way around.
Yeah, or the other way around. Just to show numbers that
Yeah, I
have
could
risen
do,
from last.
we do a bold on
Yeah.
those that are decreases,
Can we've got the Green Communities report at the same time,
yes.
which tracks some of the same stuff, but it measures it in terms of MMBTU rather than kilowatt hours, therms, gallons. I was trying to figure out, okay, how do I synchronize these two reports? And it leads me to a couple, and that one shows increased energy usage in almost every category over the last 3-4 years. Can we, can we put on as a separate agenda item at some point for the town, the staff, whenever they want, whoever they want, to come and explain to us each of these categories, looking at the tracking over the last few years and say, okay, why isn't this going down? I mean, we're speculating about some of these things,
Yeah, I
but I'd
mean,
like
and I
the
think
town
that,
to tell us
well,
exactly
they're gonna
what's the problem.
speculate too, because it's data, it's raw data, they're gonna have their opinion, but, I mean, they're not really, they don't have any meters on, they have the same meters that we're looking at.
I understand, okay, but they're the ones who run these buildings.
Yes, and they also are planning projects and executing projects. Like I said, when I looked at this for the elementary school, it was like, oh, this is significant. And other
But
than
so is
knowing
this,
that
right.
this project was going on, I'm gonna link the two, but I would have liked to see the director of facilities said, well, we did this, and therefore you've seen that.
Okay, I mean, very specifically, the Green Communities report shows increasing energy use every year in almost every category. That's the wrong direction. Now, there are
Well,
reasons.
Yeah, I'm gonna
that we
say
need-
there's.
But I think it's up to, I'd like for us to, talk with the staff and have them explain the reasons, because it doesn't look like much effort is being made to reduce energy. I hope that's wrong.
No, I think that's absolutely wrong. We're not reducing energy.
Okay,
We are in a long-term increase in energy.
yeah, so,
So, and I think that's reasonable, because we've added a whole new capability that's fitting into this, which is sewers.
well, I understand that,
And
but that's
a hu-
one
it's a-
category.
But it's a huge aspect of
I
this.
understand, but every category, not just stewards, but every category except one, I forgot, I somehow didn't bring the paper
Well, it
with,
probably would be
has,
something having to do with vehicles.
yeah,
But that's,
I think that's right.
yeah, it has less to do with.
But I guess, rather than simply seeing these numbers and say, yeah, they're higher than we'd like them to be, can we take some step, first off, talking with the staff, getting explanations as much as possible, so that if there's something that we want to focus on as a committee, we have better information. Right now, we're speculating.
Yep.
Got some, it's not bad speculation, but it's.
No, but it, yeah.
But what are we gonna do to help the town start moving in the opposite direction, I guess is
Yeah,
my
I'm
question.
not sure we're going completely opposite. I think generally we're in a increasing energy mode.
Mhm.
And I don't see that changing.
Okay, but
Because we
is-
look at what we're doing, we're adding lots of new capabilities that our old baseline never had. And like I said, it's being done for a good reason, but it is not a energy saver. It costs energy to do that.
You're talking about the
To
sewage.
a sewer. The sewer
Okay.
is driving lots of this.
I understand the sewers. The sewer's the bottom line there.
Yes.
There are lots of categories above the sewers. I'm not just talking about the sewers.
Yeah, and so like,
I'm not just talking about the total. I'm looking at, for Orleans Elementary, electricity went up, gas went down. We speculate that as a trade-off, that's not a bad trade-off, but we're speculating.
yeah,
I'd like us to do more than to have more information so that we're not limited to speculating.
so,
It's electrification, that's why.
okay.
That's why, because that's what they did at this, they added heat pumps.
Oh, and that one, no, I understand.
Yeah.
At the
That's fine,
elementary
and
school.
for
For
the
the-
elementary school, that's
Yeah.
For the
fine.
elementary school,
But-
the rooftop units are powered by heat pumps? Is
So
that-
I know there was a bunch of electrification there. Ron told me there'd be an uptick in the KWH use. So that's why you saw that, and you saw it down in the therms.
Yeah.
Just food for thought, because I've done a lot of facilities, and that's what you guys are doing, sort of in a weird way, overseeing it. To his point, that you have a better idea what it is, it doesn't hurt annually to just get a quick report from them, because time after time I do facilities, and my staff wouldn't even know that it went up, or they weren't paying attention to it. It's just dumb stuff, and you're like, you can't believe that it's true, but it's true.
Yeah.
And it may just be a nice annual check to see, are we trending, are we not trending? Are they even paying attention?
Yeah, this is very similar to,
The report doesn't do this, I'm just talking in general.
well, when you look at
Yeah.
it to past years, if it's consistent and the building's usage hasn't really changed, it's like, okay,
Yeah, probably
we might
okay.
not be able to tell. But like, we were able to tell in the previous year that the police station all of a sudden was having issues. Just by oh gosh, how did this number get so large? But so, Kim, you can take that as a potential thing coming forward. We'll look at doing something to the assistant town manager to ask that we look at these numbers and kind of get their assessment on it as well.
Yeah, a detailed assessment.
Detailed assessment,
Yeah,
yeah.
not just, here's what we think.
Yeah, I mean, not every number, they're not gonna have, but for everything, but where they're seeing changes, we definitely wanna know that they understand what's driving it and what things are going to drive it going forward.
Right.
If there's trends, like I said, I think, you look at the sewer thing, the trend is gonna keep.
Yeah, I
because we're
mean,
gonna keep-
that's an easy one,
Yeah, it's one of the obvious ones.
right, and it's gonna be hard to do because we're doing such
Yeah.
big capital improvements.
I mean, there were things that are in here that, like water, sewer, wells, treatment, there's newer accounts that didn't have energy usage in past years but now do, and that's gonna be a function of some change that was made. And we might wanna know what
We'd like
that
to know what the
was.
change is.
Yeah.
Because our hope, our purpose of our committee is to help reduce greenhouse gas emissions and, tied into that, energy use. So let's look at the specifics of the municipal buildings. That's all I'm doing is I'd like to know, what can we do to help identify, or at least to ask and be aware of the different categories, the causes of the changes. Can we do anything about it? Can the town do anything about it? But right now, I don't know. All we got is these numbers.
Yeah, it's, is being well informed about what's driving the changes.
I'm personally more concerned about increases or the changes in fossil fuel emissions. I mean, electricity going up, we're talking money, I agree. It'd be good to have energy efficiency as well that would allow us to reduce the electricity. But for me, it's like a step two. Step one that we need to monitor is really the greenhouse gas
Well, I think we can
emissions.
do both.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can do both, but if I had to make a priority, I would say my main focus would be, wow, did we increase the use of gas? What's going on here? Speaking of which, it's interesting because we have town vehicles that are electric now,
Yes.
but there's no way of capturing the electricity that they consume.
No, because it's gonna be back through the electric meter. And once again, yes, well, that also figures into more electricity use,
Yes.
wherever they were.
As
Although there's not a lot of
The
them.
chargers will
As we use
track that.
more electricity because of heat pumps, and the gas, that should go down, but you need a standard. Maybe it should be the amount of people in the equation, so people know what the drift is, because we have therms, kilowatt hours. It has to be the carbon we're using or something, tied to the amount of people in the town. You know, that way there we can see what's happening. But right now, therms and electric kilowatt hours really doesn't tell the story. And as we have more and more vehicles, we need it per person. So you need a figure of how many people are involved. As the town grows, you get more people, so these doesn't show us where the trend's really going.
Yeah.
Well, I mean.
We certainly can take this data and put it over time. The greenhouse gases, that's now in Mass Energy Insight. And so we can have charts that come out of there that shows the trends for greenhouse gases.
But I think it's easy to fall into the trap of overworking this table. In the end, this table is just an illustration of the energy use of the town, I mean municipal energy, and just to show the trend because we show it every year.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's interesting to extract some basic conclusions, like we know that electricity goes up and fossil fuels usage goes down, which is is a positive trend. But otherwise, if we dissect too much, it generates a lot of work for a lot of people.
So I'll add some comments about general trends that compared to FY '24, and I'll pick up all the issues associated with the bold and the changes we want to do for private projects and adaptation.
But I thought it was a good annual report.
John, on the renewable energy, this is where you referenced the solar projects.
Yes.
So I just looked at, your table has total electric consumption last year was 3 million kilowatt hours, plus or minus. And the solar projects are going to generate 1.4 million. That's 45% of the town's electric use is coming out of the solar project. That's a significant reduction, net reduction in our electricity consumption. Do you want to highlight that, or?
I think that's a positive.
Yeah. it's-
For people who, gave us $5 million, at least they see what they want.
You have the stats up here, but like Paul was saying, it doesn't really translate. You could put it in terms of carbon emissions avoided, or, my solar project gives me a CO2 avoided number each month.
Yeah.
And part of it is PR, just to
Yeah.
point out that we're
Yeah.
making a meaningful impact.
Yeah. So that. Yeah, I didn't sum that number, but we certainly could. Oh, I guess we did.
Yeah.
And it's a 40% independence from Eversource,
Right.
which is a very valuable.
Yeah, I didn't sum the totals, but yeah, it's 1 point.
Yeah, no, I did it just on that Excel sheet you sent.
I mean, yeah, so I can add, I add a note on that as well.
Yeah, I did the calculation, it is 45% of the consumption, electric consumption.
I hadn't noted that.
So,
Okay. So, as I said, subject to the changes, can I get a motion?
Make
to
a
approve
motion
this?
that we adopt the annual report as prepared and distributed with the edits that were proposed to a couple of points and adding a point indicating that the trend on the table that is showing higher electricity use and lower fossil fuel use for the municipal facilities. That's a long motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Roger.
Any discussion? Okay, well, I think we're prepared to vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So it's unanimous. We'll go ahead and make those changes and forward that for the January 14th deadline. I'm going to hold off on the review of the solar contracts. I'm going to suggest we move to the Green Community Annual Report. This report, so thanks for Tim for sending it along. You know, when I looked through here, I noted the format changes. I thought those were interesting. Yeah, we're definitely growing electricity use, or energy use. The energy conservation measures, we had the heat pumps, the town hall circulator. We didn't have any comments on the elementary school. I was kind of surprised about that. Under the energy conservation measures.
Let's see, municipal school.
Kim, do you have any insight? into-
So, I think Mark, you better to answer that question, because
Okay.
I'm not sure if that fell under the Green Communities grant money or not, but he'd be best to answer that.
Okay. Yeah, maybe that's exactly what it is. I know that
I know there was, before I started, there was some work that was done that did not use grant money, so that might be it, but I would confirm with him.
Did you circulate this?
This came out as a separate email, because I got it, I think, on Tuesday night.
Okay. Maybe it's over the bucks.
Yeah, I guess that point you were making about the elementary school is,
There it is, you're right.
is visible because when you look at least at the numbers, you know, the percentage of the school is 5% of the BTUs, but only 4% of the CO2 emissions. So that means proportionally, they emit less than the rest of the town.
This is Town Hall.
I was
The
looking
school
at
at the
school.
top.
Oh,
It's School Road, that's the address of Town Hall.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Elementary
Yeah,
school is
yeah.
the top line.
I was looking at the,
Yeah.
well, same thing, 14, 13. So at least it shows a positive trend.
And then, so on the top 5 buildings, you have energy use, emissions, and energy use intensity. The police station continues to be at the top of the list for energy use intensity. You know, the square feet are what they are, but that's the building that's operating 24/7. And it has lots of electrical devices in it. Some of the others, I think, I guess I would say, one of the things as I was looking through Mass Energy Insight is there's a chart in there that, it's a relatively new chart, I think, that looks at all of your facilities and how you've categorized them, as to whether they're a building or admin or indoor recreation or outdoor recreation. I think that's something that kind of needs to be looked at. We have a lot of facilities a lot of accounts that are falling into interior or indoor recreation, and I'm not sure that's quite right. But making sure that we've sorted out what falls into open space. So things like the toll booth 3 on South Beach. I'm not sure that that really I don't know that that should qualify as a building, and maybe should really qualify as part of open space. So would like to send the assistant town manager an email asking that Kim in all of her spare time
Yeah, I
looks
believe
over that.
we've already looked at that. I already looked at that form.
Okay. And we think we've got a good handle on it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I went over it with him. And there's limited choices as what you can put the categories under.
Yeah, there are.
Whoever did it before probably made a best guess,
Yeah.
so.
But I would say we shouldn't really have anything as null at all. It should fit into one of the categories rather than just null, because I don't know that tells you anything.
Yeah, I thought that was fixed.
Yeah. Anyway, that one report, if you're familiar with it, the breakdown, yeah, that would, if we have things that are in there, it should all fit into one of those categories neatly. And I would say the same for 82 Concert Road, Seacole Farm. Kind of suspect that's not really a building, it's more of an open space as well. Yeah, there's a building there, but you've got a lot of other things going on, such as the adjoining land is open space, as well as the community gardening there. You can see the energy narrative, and it talks about the rooftop solar. The fuel-efficient vehicles.
I was a little confused about those because did we get 2 new EV cars for the town?
So we
in
got
25?
So there were 222 that were added,
But
Fiscal year 2025, this cuts off June
June
30th.
30th, so it'll show up
the
on the
second
next
half
go
of
round.
25.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I thought,
Is there a way, I realize this is the standard form, but it would be very nice to have the model column indicate the fuel type? Because this doesn't tell us whether we acquired an EV or a hybrid or whatever.
Yeah, so this is, of course, the Department of Energy Resources form. And it's supposed to be available, or at least when I understand it, that this is entered through Mass Energy Insight now, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so we don't have, we are read-only, we can't see this.
and in fairness, we don't know whether it'll show or not because we don't have one yet. Maybe when
No,
it does, it will
no.
show model, blah, electric, I don't know.
We've had this fuel efficiency priority policy for a couple of years now. Well, at least a year.
Yeah, a year plus.
Okay, but that's the specific thing that we're interested in tracking is application of the fuel policy.
Zero energy.
It would be very nice if the form let us evaluate that. And
Yeah.
right now it doesn't, unless you happen to know what the.
Now, we bought a
That we bought
EV that's
something,
a
but-
Silverado, but
Yeah, but it doesn't say that.
it's a Lightning, Ford Lightning.
Hopefully, I would say, it's a light model, F-150 Lightning, but you'd have to know
What's,
that.
I'd like it to say EV or
Right.
hybrid or plug-in hybrid or gasoline, and so that so we don't have to
Yeah.
take the extra step of figuring out ourselves.
Yeah.
No, so
we're
conceivably, you
actually
could say
compliant.
EV on the trim, because the trim is,
I would think so, the model and the trim would
Yeah, I
say.
don't remember off the top of my head how it appears.
But maybe one option is to add a fleet narrative. That way, we can, the same way as we have energy narrative, then he might mention 2 new EVs acquired or whatever, I
If
don't know.
that's what they're asking for, that's what we provide, sure.
yeah, this, like I said, this is being
That's
filled
true,
out
it's not
by
for
every
us.
town that's green community, so.
It's not a report.
The
for
form
us.
won't change, but we could make sure that when we comment on the trim, if it's an EV, we know.
Almost a list of everything.
because it's part of the trim.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean.
yeah, actually, David's
Sure.
pointing out a good point, is the heading says fleet changes for fiscal year 2025. The model year, it's like, these going from 99 to 2025 were all added to this list. Maybe they weren't all acquired this year. Were they all acquired this year? Is that what the added column is
No,
supposed
I
to
just think
indicate?
they were missing from prior.
That
Maybe
that
it's
sounds
a catch up,
likely.
yeah.
Yeah, you look at this, it's like, okay, so,
Because you've added and removed, you know,
It almost looks like just
It's an update.
all vehicles they have.
Yeah.
no, well, yeah, that's not on this list, this is what's changed. Because the
Well-
number of vehicles we have is extensive.
But the point that I hear is, are these changes because these vehicles were acquired, or is it a change because it was missing from last year's report?
Either it wasn't
It's both, it's
reported,
both.
yeah,
Because they have the 2025 Chevrolet
Yeah.
Silverado, so those were added, obviously, and the others were just bad data, you know, they.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's some things in here that probably are not good lines, like all the trailers are not prime movers.
To my understanding, they're pulling that stuff in from the DMV. So that's what MEI is doing. So,
Okay, stretch code adoption, well, you can see what we have there.
What's that about?
But actually, because the bottom, the stretch code narrative, that sentence is out of date at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is
This is as of
as of June
June
30th.
30th?
2025.
So,
Ah, okay, so this report is only through June 30th.
yeah. And,
So this report is still prepared by that lady from Cape Light Compact?
I worked on it with her. Actually, I'm doing the towns, she and I do it together. So we
Okay.
have to submit these in early November.
Okay. Oh, so this was submitted already?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
this is done. This is being reviewed by DOER now.
Could we get a copy when it's submitted rather than now?
If that's what the town wants to do, sure.
yeah,
Well-
this was, I mean, we were dealing with, coming into the town meeting, so there were things that I was like, okay, well, I knew this report was being done,
Yeah.
but we were also trying to get,
Other things done.
but, certainly could have been in December.
Yeah, that's fine.
Anyway, that's the report,
I'm still, sorry, going back a second on the vehicles. And you probably answered this at the very beginning, but the two new EVs that we did buy,
were bought after July 1st.
We're showing next year's report.
Yeah.
oh, after July 1st, okay.
Yeah, so it'll be a
Thank you.
2026 purchase.
Thank you, sorry.
Okay, well, we've delayed on this long enough. We're gonna move on to the solar contracts.
Okay. But you were waiting for the sits and town.
I was hoping that we'd have him here because this is really stuff he needs to hear and, just,
Well, we
maybe it
have
has to
Tim.
be written up.
Yeah, I don't have an update for you. He said he was gonna give you guys an update, so he just said he'll be done as soon as he can.
Okay.
He's doing budgets right now.
Okay, so I went through the contracts and listed the three contracts, listed the number of panels. I think one of the interesting things is the wattage for the panels. You can, these are some pretty good panels. The DPW roof, they were supposed to be 440 watt panels. The water treatment plant and 20 Overland Way, 595 watt panels. These are pretty good panels as far as, if we were talking about this 10 years ago, we'd be talking at 280, 300.
Is it the size? Are they bigger? Are they more efficient?
I think they're more efficient.
Denser.
Yep.
The sizing of each of the contracts, and each of the things, Okay, I'm gonna launch into a couple of things that, at least my take on this. My take on this is, the DPW roof, okay, I'm good with that. It's bigger than what we thought, but not much bigger. The water treatment plant at 457 kilowatts DC is bigger than we'd recommended. Its estimated production was based on this chart is based upon PV watt calculations, the calculator for PV watt, and had us at 623,931. You know, whether the contractor thinks it's less, that's what PV watt says. And so I look at that, and I look also at the water treatment plant production, or usage of electricity in 2024. That was 482,000 kilowatts. In 2025, it was 513,000 kilowatts. So when I look at that, I'm thinking that this plant is going to overproduce, and we'll need a Schedule Z to move excess wattage to other water treatment facilities.
Yep, that's what will happen. I do have to head out.
Okay.
Hopefully Mark will be down shortly. He hasn't responded to me yet.
Some other things I noted about this is that the water treatment plant, because it's connected to a facility that is where the predominant use will go to running that, will be a cap exempt project. What does that mean? Municipalities have a 10 megawatt cap for net metering. This is cap exempt.
Oh,
It's a class 2 facility, and the bulk of the usage will be on-site. So that will not require us to request cap space to be able to build that. The other two projects, the DPW roof and 20 Overland Way, those are both, as I understand it, they are both net metering projects, and they are not, the electricity usage is not going to either the DPW directly or to the wastewater, for 20 Overland Way, to the wastewater treatment plant. They are going to be beneficiaries, no doubt, but these are, from what I understand, they are not behind the meter. And so they're both going to need net metering capacity. So the amount of net metering capacity for Eversource is limited, it's not unlimited. From what I can tell, there should probably be space available for these projects, but we do need, someone in town needs to, who has access to the Mass ACA system, needs to get both these listed as for net metering capacity. And that's kind of why I thought we might have the town manager here to understand, make sure he understands that I'm not sure if this is assist the director of facilities responsibility, but somebody in the town needs to be on Mass ACA and request that we have space for these two projects as they currently stand.
and that's something you request from Eversource or from?
So the DOE, I think it's either the DPU may run that program, but like I said, we're limited the 10 megawatts, we're nowhere close. Eversource has a limit to how much net metering they can do. The last time I looked at this was a long time ago, there was space. But some utilities are running out of space. National Grid, I think, may have run out. Unitil may have run out, but Eversource still had space. So it's just something we know that needs to happen sooner the better.
Whose cap is 10 megawatts? State?
Every town has a 10 megawatt cap for net metering
Imposed by the state?
by the state, yeah.
Okay.
And it's in the net metering rate, that's where that sits.
Irrespective of their size.
Yeah, it's irrespective of their size, and then, there may be, well, let's put it this way, if Falmouth is the host for this project they're talking about in Falmouth, they'll get the 10 megawatts, because they're already talking pretty close to that. But, when we think about Orleans, we don't have anything other than what's on the landfill, which may have been done before the Mass ACA went into effect, and the Council on Aging also may be beyond, not required of that. So it's just something that, when I used to do this for the town of Lunenburg, so I recognize the need. But when they became net metering only, that it changed, that this was going to be required.
So when we run out of our credits, then we only do projects that are behind the meter.
Yeah, this would be, so like, when I was in Lunenburg, we had a 2.5 megawatt system that was built on some open space. The town hosted it, so we tied up 2.5 megawatts of our capacity. And we took it as a check from the utility. So we continued to build projects, but knowing we couldn't do more than 10.
But if you say the water treatment plant won't count against the 10 megawatt cap,
Yeah, that will be
These are-
cap exempt.
these are a little over half a megawatt.
Yeah, so we're not gonna run out of the 10. We should be more concerned about Eversource running out of its cap, meeting its cap, and then we get stuck.
Yeah.
But and there might be some other ways to deal with that, but like I said, right now, we should just get those in.
Just a couple of comments on the financials. So like I said, this is gonna be 45% of the town's total electric bill. It'll save us, $400,000 a year out of $1 million. And the levelized cost is pre-tax credits is $3.70 per watt, which is a little bit on the higher end of the range, not out of the range. Anything 2 to 4 is, the market. And but with the tax credits, it's down to $2.45 a watt. So that's actually could be considered a lower cost system. So a lot of it depends on the tax credits. I mean, it still makes economic sense with no tax credits, with a 9-year payback. But you're down in the 5.5, 6-year payback with the tax credits. So I'm sure Mark will address that, but I know he's working hard to make sure we comply and get the tax credits.
The cost per kilowatt hour, so
Yeah.
the numbers I used on this analysis was 33 cents, which is residential cost. And so this is probably the best case scenario, so it's likely to be less than that. And for the net metering credits, I pulled out 6 cents a kilowatt hour lower, because you will still pay for any of your facilities, you'll still pay all of the costs associated with participation in energy efficiency, net metering, solar credits. So that 6 cents is just built in there. It's a cost if you're not directly connected to a facility. And
Can we add, for the next time we see this, can we add the tax credit, the anticipated tax credit to the table?
so this is the next piece I want to talk about.
Okay.
So, and then I'll be done, I'll open it up to any other committee's comments. Last thing I wanted to mention, so, on the approach, so, we used Titan Energy to come up with this. And I haven't seen how we engaged with Titan Energy. I did see how their cost to the town through Revised Energy, and it was about $130,000 to get them to do the RFP, which is, in my mind, just a bit of a ripoff.
The contractor was supposed to pay for it, but in the end, it comes out of our pocket.
Yeah, it came out of the $5 million.
It's rolled into the, yeah. But isn't that on a formula schedule, so they don't?
It is, it's a price per kilowatt hour. So, anyway, it's listed in there, and you can look at it. It was 56 and 50 something and 23,000. It was 130,000 roughly. Like I said, I kind of think that if I was planning to do this and I wasn't under the gun to try to generate this would not be the approach
Yeah.
that I would recommend. And so I personally would not recommend this to another town, another municipality. I would not.
So who would do the work then, the municipality
So
staff?
I would either go, there are statewide contracts for electrical or for energy consultants. That's how I would have approached developing the RFP. I went to one of the ones listed on the statewide contract, asked them, okay, here's what we need to have happen, can you give us a price for this? And I would have approached 3 of them, and I would have gotten 3 different prices, and but it starts with knowing what you want to have happen and writing that up and getting it to them. And we did write that up at one point. It was a one paragraph thing, here's what we need, but we didn't go that approach. So what the outfalls from that, in my opinion, is we did not get an RFP that was designed for the town of Orleans. We got something, we got contracts signed, but the end result that we have, I think, is that we've got 2 projects that more or less meet our requirements, and one that I think doesn't meet our requirements. That's the 20 Overland Way project. I mean, I'm calling it 20 Overland Way because it's not connected to the wastewater treatment plant. The wastewater treatment plant will probably be a beneficiary of it because it will get new heating credits, but size-wise, it's way too small. And it is, here's the good news on that. It may be way too small. It's located as far away from the wastewater treatment plant as you can get, which may give us some opportunities to do another project specifically for the wastewater treatment plant tied directly to the wastewater treatment plant.
But I thought the size was dictated by just the area.
It was limited to the cleared area that has been called the old composting site,
Right.
which is why it's so small.
But I didn't think we had approval to do it on another site
Well,
related to the wastewater.
this is
treatment
land
plant.
that the town owns. It's
Okay,
adjacent to the existing wastewater treatment plant.
yeah,
And if you think of the wastewater treatment plant, this is arguable, but I would make the case that 80 to 100 years from now, the wastewater treatment plant is gonna be right where the wastewater treatment plant is. And so we are not building, we should not be building this for 25 years, should be building it for 100 years. And therefore, we should be thinking in terms of panels, replacing panels as they hit their end life, replacing panels, replacing panels. We should be thinking 100 years into the future, and that this is something this plant needs and will need the next 100 years. And which says it's a component of the plant, and yes, it would require that trees be taken down to put this thing and attach it, but I think it's, it's infrastructure associated with wastewater treatment plant. Anyway, that's my take on it. The contract documents that we got, I did not see in here I saw requirements that we comply with state law, which means that this is a piece of municipal property, and so prevailing wage rates will need to be followed. However, the contract does not say that. The contract does not say that. The apprenticeship program is a federal requirement, and I did not see that the contract required that we meet the apprenticeship program. I did not see a requirement for the project to meet, the contract does not, I did not see anywhere that said that that there's a requirement that we meet the domestic content requirement. So I'm looking at this project, I saw a note, paragraph 3, 10-3. That said, to the extent that the contractor's costs to complete the work increase as a result of the contractor's efforts to meet any federal requirements, including but not limited to prevailing wage, apprenticeship, and domestic content requirements necessary to qualify the system and/or the work for a federal tax credit greater than, two categories, 6% for a system larger than a megawatt, and 30% for a system with a system size less than 1 megawatt. Contractor shall be entitled to an equitable adjustment to the contract sum to recover such documented additional costs. I don't think that's going to increase our costs. After I read that, I said, well, I don't think that's really going to require that. But I think the contract has a flaw in that those requirements should be stated in this contract, that it will meet the domestic content requirements, it will meet prevailing wage and the apprenticeship program. And because that's not written into this contract, I kind of think we're just kind of floating on that. And I think that's a function of when we engaged Titan, that didn't come across as a town requirement.
But have these contracts not been reviewed by the town's legal?
I don't know that question, and typically they would be. And so it's, in my mind, it's unusual in that typically, I would expect to be seeing municipal contracts and not the revision energy contract. Doesn't mean you couldn't use it, but there's just a lot of things that municipalities require, OSHA compliance and other things that are just not in here might be adequately addressed, or might be addressed in some form or fashion, but not very straightforward. So, you know, let's see, I'm coming at this, it may seem like I'm very negative about this. I'm recognizing that there are some issues here, and while I'm a little disappointed that those issues exist, I'm glad that we have these contracts, and I'm hopeful that they will go through, and we will not have any issues with applying for federal tax credits because of missing language in the contract. Anyway, that's my take.
I mean,
Anyone else
do we,
have comments?
do we just need to make sure, to ask Mark if he's making sure they meet these requirements
Yeah,
outside of the contract? I mean, obviously, it was all done, the timing such that we get the tax credit, so.
so we do need to ensure that we get the prevailing wage reports in, that the apprenticeship requirement comes through, that the domestic content requirement comes through. You know, so I'm going to say that I think that's a follow-up question with this town manager. I was hoping to wait for him to be here. Because like I said, it's not that I'm saying that those things aren't going to happen. I'm just saying that the language in the contract is very weak. Would have liked to see it explicitly stated that, you know, that domestic content, the contractor will meet the domestic content for the construction of the project, that they will meet the prevailing wage. Like I said, it says there that he has to meet state law. Construction on a municipal project doesn't require that he meets the prevailing wage. But my experience is that the apprenticeship thing is a federal thing and not a state thing.
And the domestic content just tells you how much tax credit you're gonna get.
Yeah,
Right, it's
to be
not
able to qualify
requirement,
for the
it's the-
extra 10% credit, you have to meet that requirement.
Well, is support what you're saying, which is if Mark doesn't get to us today, for you to follow up with him, I think is appropriate.
And hopefully it's just an ambiguity, you know, that needs to be clarified, that it's intended, that it hasn't been overlooked. That it's
Yes.
just, you know, like an adjustment to the wording or something, because I kind of agree that one of the big drivers has been the federal credits.
Yeah, and it's, like I said, I'm happy that when you look at the financials on it, okay, we will be in good shape. We'll be in better shape if we get the full tax credits that we're eligible for. But we want to make sure that the contractor delivers that as he delivers the project.
So we were authorized to spend up to 5 million, right?
Yes.
So we're spending 3.75. And is that 5 million net, or is that 5 million and it's just gravy that we get some back from the tax credit?
So the town will take the tax credit as
Right.
general revenue,
Yeah.
and what we don't spend will be freed up for future projects.
But can we
But
start?
we can't really, we can't like say, oh, well, let's go put a solar array on the elementary school, because that's not what we asked for.
We asked for those 3 projects, or,
I
okay,
think so, yeah.
okay. I was
I
just
mean,
curious.
yeah, typically you're not able to spend it for anything other than what you requested.
It's not a blank check.
Okay.
Although there's usually, they'll say like these projects or other projects that the town may deem, appropriate or something.
If the language is in the article that allows some leeway, then you could, but frequently there's enough back, so like if we had a bigger project for the wastewater treatment plant, and I went back and looked at,
It did get increased once, the wastewater treatment plant size.
yeah, it's not, it's not this. This was 750 kilowatts DC that would have been producing 848,000 kilowatts in a year, which is closer to where we kind of need to be. Wouldn't necessarily cover anything, but, and yes, the key issue is trees not to be removed to do that. To give you an idea, the one we're talking about building with the 171 is this northern part right here. Because that's what's cleared. This is not, you know, it's done.
Yeah.
But the facility that we want to support is here. So I think there's a chance that, you know, you could come back on this and see if we could get something that would still make some sense. Tie it in, however, directly to the wastewater treatment plant, which is what we suggested. That was the recommendation, was tie it in. And we got a lot of, well, there's underground pipes. Yeah, there are. But they're all 4 feet down. We could run an electrical line over the top of that and still tie in. So, you know, so we've got a lot of pushback on the connection, but it really, that would get you, you know, maybe it's not, maybe you have you have a section that is a net metering credit array, that has its own connection to the grid, and then you have, still you can get another array directly tied in that would be, you know, bigger and get you what you really need. Now, whether that is, you know, this array on this initial proposal came in as 750 kilowatts with a power purchase agreement of 8.75 cents a kilowatt hour. Well, we didn't provide the resources as far as the funds to do it. It still had a $72,000 annual savings of, you know, lifetime $1.8 million. So,
And in that case, there's no upfront capital cost to
yes.
us.
And so we have some funds still left behind, but they're probably not enough to do something comparable, because I mean, that was going to be over $1 million. You know, way up. Anyway, I think that this is not a dead issue, one we need to kind of continue to explore.
So are you gonna submit to Mark some formal communication about the deficiencies in the contract?
I think that needs to happen.
Okay.
And you know, like I said, I was working on this, you know, this week, and it was back and forth, okay, how, you know, I don't want to come in here and load on the assistant town manager, but I did want to raise the concerns that, hey, look, there's some issues here. And maybe it'll all be all fine, or maybe it won't be.
Would it be possible for you to talk to, what's the firm that we use for our houses?
My generation.
My Generation, because they were doing my house in the middle, and I asked them, you know, they didn't submit a bid the second time around when the RFP went out, and they, you know, the guy sort of, Josh, who's come here before, sort of shook his head and said they didn't know what they were doing, or some kind of comment. If you're gonna go through the trouble of, you know, summarizing anything about the contract, I think if you could talk to My Generation, because they had
Yeah.
some very specific views, and the fact that they didn't bid at all, that was,
Yeah, I did speak with somebody from Select Energy.
you know,
They called me when we were doing the wastewater treatment plant tour. After the tour ended, my phone rang. It was Select Energy. One of the guys that I think is on the committee down in Chatham was calling me, and he was,
Minor.
yes,
Brian
exactly, yeah,
Minor,
Brian Minor. He called me and said, hey, look, you know, we're not happy, that they were not happy about Titan Energy's costs. No, I mean, it's cost, it's a choice we made.
I mean, the flip side is, we sort of, we're talking about doing this, and then one day Mark comes back and says, we're doing it. Here's, we're gonna have the RFP next week or in a month, so we got some, in some respect, I remember during that period, sitting back and saying, wow, we're finally doing something.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, so we have these contracts, so like I said, I'm not
Yeah.
like 100% like, but I have concerns. So like I said, I'll put together a write-up and I'll share it with the committee and, like I said, we may give that to give it to Mark, either at a meeting we have with him, but I'll write something up and we can give them some formal feedback, but, like I said, not 100%, but with it, but it's, doing this RFP is not easy. And for the town, it's doable, but it is not easy. Having done 4 of them, it is not easy to do these,
But
but,
I think that's why you just outsource the whole thing.
yeah. But there are companies that that are on a statewide contract that would do this for you.
Right, for a lot.
And for a lot less.
Yeah.
And you'd had the town's requirements locked in, and I think that's kind of the part that most dissolutions, they're not really locked in, particularly on the tax credit piece.
So is that not only maybe it was overpaid, but it didn't do the job fully correctly?
Yeah, and, like I said, when you think about it, we don't have a written contract. Well, I don't know if we have a contract with Titan. We're not paying them anything, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
My personal comments were much less deep. One of them was, I noticed that it was pretty obvious that the cost for the water treatment plant per kilowatt hour was higher than the other two, which I believe is an indication that the terrain was harder, or maybe the cost of taking out some
there's
trees.
taking down trees.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
it's
that's
also
what
a
you're talking
smaller
about.
project, so.
The cost per kilowatt hour,
Yeah.
that column, but John, you were explaining, those numbers came from you, didn't they?
Yeah.
The cost the dollar signs per kilowatt hour,
Mhm.
that reflects net metering versus behind the meter. And like I said, that's the best case, because it is based on residential rates and not,
Right.
commercial rates
Right.
are complex because there's demand.
Okay.
That's
Right.
not,
Which is,
that's not the
you know,
cost, that's the
Okay,
value.
it's just like the
Right.
value.
It's the value.
I got it. And the other thing I wish we
You're
had.
saying, cost divided by size.
Yeah. And the other thing, I was hoping there'd be another column that says estimated completion time.
So in the contract, I thought this was one of the strengths of the contract. The contract said that once we get to a notice to proceed, that they have 9 months to construct it. Now, the notice to proceed means that you have to have all your permits lined up. And I'm gonna assume that that means including with Eversource, because, we do have this process, but,
There are
So-
unknowns.
so it's 9 months for construction, but it's triggered by a notice from the town, notice to proceed, but you have to have all your permits in place.
But wasn't there a deadline to be able to get the federal credits? I thought it was like 6 months or so.
Yeah, I think it's longer than that, but I mean, by starting the process, that kind of helps get us in moving forward. But we do, I said, getting through all the wickets that have to be gotten through Eversource, Mass ACA, and the Mass ACA one is simple, you can do that in a day, or in a couple hours.
That's Mass ACA.
ACA, yeah. That, you just get that in there. If there's cap space, then you're good to go. That's easy. But the Eversource piece is complex. There might be requirements for studies. the, you know, the town's permitting process should be, I think we're saying we're waiving the fees, because I think that's what the contract says. Getting those should be relatively easy, but anyway, that's kind of where it is. So we have transmitted money to our contractor, and Titan has gotten, I think, 25% of it.
What you're saying, it's hard to estimate the completion time because there are some unknowns.
Yes, the unknowns about, you know, getting through all the permitting.
Okay.
But
There was a, for the tax credit, by December 31, you had to have paid a payment to the contractors.
Okay.
They did do that. And then I think there's a June 30th, 2026 milestone requirement. I don't remember what it is offhand. The project has to be like 10% complete. It was a pretty low threshold, but.
So that might be materials on hand?
Yeah, I think you had to procure the panels or something by then. So, you know, you can't just sign the contract and then just take your time, you know, so. Of course, the main thing is the sooner we get it in, the sooner we get solar power out of it, you know, so.
So there are some steps that can be taken before permitting is completed
Yeah.
to show progress.
John, I'm going to go.
Okay.
I will see you on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tuesday,
The goals.
9:30, this location.
Oh, 9:30.
9:30,
I would come, but I have school.
you will not see.
Yeah.
Excuses, excuses.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, the only thing on the agenda is, call to order, is the development.
Here's the assistant town manager.
Have you been waiting for me?
Yeah, we,
Would you like me to join you?
John, I do also have to go home and feed my cats or my mom's
Okay.
gonna kill me.
I
But
have two things and it's real fast.
okay.
I might be able to stay for this though.
Well, I'm happy to stay. You know, I've been working till 9:30 every night, so why not a few more hours?
Okay.
Happy New Year.
Right, Happy New Year.
Okay, we're moving into the update on the assistant town manager.
So, quick update on EV charging. We've got waiting for polls for the two level 2 charging locations still. Kim Grant has reached out again today. We didn't hear back in December on what the status of those poll scheduling would be. One of the locations here at 139 Main Street is an Eversource poll, so they have more control over the scheduling of that. The Nauset Beach project is a Verizon poll, so it's just another utility to have to wait for. We got final approvals, everything's ready for construction on the level 3 chargers, the DC fast chargers at the
Depot Square.
Depot Square, thank you. And so we expect that to begin in February or March. They're waiting for the cabinet, the electrical cabinet for that. So that's really positive, and it'd be interesting to see a DC fast charger go in before these two level 2 projects that have just been lingering. But hey, I'll take that. I mean, I'll use it, so, and I'm sure most of you that have EVs out there and here will as well, so that's good. I would say on the climate action planning process, that we could have, I've been doing some work around finding something that works for Orleans that is really focused on action items. And the OCAN meeting last month really kind of triggered my mind a little more about what the product, what the end product really is going to be. You know, there's some comments about, well, do we really need a plan? What is, you know, we know what we need to do, and we know that. That's, I get that. And so I've been speaking with some folks, and we have a good idea of an end product that is very much focused on the action pieces, as opposed to digging into pages of information about climate change, et cetera. So even more so than what the Plymouth roadmap did. It's gonna be a bit different. And so I think we can get someone on board in February to start that process. And estimated time frame is 8 to 9 months or so of planning process to get that final product together. And it would we're thinking it'll be under $50,000. So that's positive news, and it's coming quick.
So just to understand better, do I understand what you're saying is that the climate action plan, rather than being a huge sophisticated database about the energy consumption, et cetera, of the town, it'd be more expected to provide some recommendations on action items?
Yeah,
to
and
pursue?
really key in on what is already happening, right? And you folks have been doing the work, right? These Energy Navigators group that's in existence in an early stage will really get supported by this process with more focus on where you're going. So that's just one component, but it will really key in on the things that are already happening that are going to lead to bigger impacts. So,
I think that would be useful because it'd be easier to track.
yes, and if it's under 50,000, then we all have $50,000 for actionable items we can put that towards. So, I actually had this a conversation today about this, and it's ready to go, so buckle up.
Yeah.
Right.
But you have to hire the consultant that's gonna do the
Yeah, we
report.
still gotta go through a procurement process, but it's not the same as if it's over 50,000, so it's requesting 3 quotes and seeing what we get back, but,
Process is simpler,
yes.
below 50,000.
I'm gonna be meeting with OCAN next Tuesday in the evening. They've got a meeting, and they're gonna be talking about, this is gonna be a topic of discussion.
Yes.
As soon as you are able to share some kind of timeline, we'd like to get it to them.
Sure, you can share with them this news as well, that we're ready to go, and, you know, I'm really thinking, this is January 8th, so I'm thinking by the end of February, we'll have someone on board.
Is the consultant typically an individual as opposed to,
No.
you know, a corporation?
It depends on the situation. I anticipate it would probably be a business that's coming into
Consulting
town,
firm type.
not just an individual.
If it takes 9 months to do, and it only costs $50,000, that seems hard to spread a project out that long for that amount of money. No?
Well, they're not working every day over 9 months.
No, I understand.
Do you wanna pay more?
No, I don't wanna pay more, but can I get it sooner, I guess is the question. They
Well, there's a
probably have
process
some
in the
boilerplate.
public engagement pieces, the
Yeah.
development of the brand, because it's gonna be something you can really, you know, latch onto and.
Okay, so there's public engagement that takes time, okay.
Yeah.
Developing the ideas around how does, you know, for example, we keep looking towards the Energy Navigator group, but like meeting with those folks and understanding what that map looks like to move forward and reach people and the strategies around reaching more people and that type of stuff. It's gonna.
I guess one benefit of that is that it will really be customized to Orleans. It's not going to be some kind of a CAP from another town that just
Right.
changed the names and
Right.
some numbers and
Right.
printed, yeah.
It's not, it's gonna be much different than what Eastham is getting, which is, you know, kind of a version of the Cape Cod Commission's climate plan and such. So it's really gonna be a little bit different, but it's gonna be focused on how, the real actions that need to happen. Not only with the residents, but we've talked a bit about today how the need to reach people who are visiting here year-round, but really in the summer, and the impacts that they have, and how do we connect with those people in those quick periods of time that they're here, you know, mapping those actions out as well. So there's a lot to do and think about, but it's gonna be very focused.
Then, I hate to, and then, but the roadmap is another.
The
study.
decarbonization?
The decarbonization roadmap is more specific about what we do at individual buildings, that's the one we're waiting.
Well, that,
Yeah, so we, you know, on our last meeting, we'd gotten comments from John Duggan, myself, and the committee, and then those were the ones I
Mhm.
provided you last week or earlier this week. Those are our thoughts on, you know, I would, so I don't think there's a big rush to finish the municipal decarbonization roadmap, but I think we need a good, something worthwhile to come out of it. And so,
Well,
no
reminder
big
that-
rush to finish.
Yeah, I mean, that cost the town nothing. It was a document to meet the needs of DOER to become a green, as climate leader. It's not this fantastic guide, right? There's pieces that are missing. But again, we're moving into this process with the facilities conditions assessment that is going to look at all of our facilities and all the costs related to replacement and the timeline of replacement of everything, including HVAC. And so, with the understanding and the direction we're moving in, which is away from fossil fuels in our facilities, we need to make sure that this facilities conditions assessment analyzes costs related to replacing fossil fuel using HVAC equipment with electric only. So that's kind of where I talked a little bit about that, is that's gonna be way more in depth, and that is starting next month, so.
So that's, I'm sorry, that's sort of a third leg. And I'm sorry, it gets a little confusing.
Well, I
So
think
there's-
it would be helpful to understand how that is different than the decarbonization roadmap, because if we're doing a conditions assessment that leads to a capital plan
Yeah.
that dictates when our HVAC equipment is replaced over a 5 to 10 year plus period, that also informs us of estimated costs. What is the decarbonization roadmap? How is that different?
That's, I guess, my question, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
why I'm not
I think these
focused on
things
that.
work together.
Yeah.
So who's doing the needs assessment, that RISE?
No, it's a asset management company called Bureau Veritas.
Okay. And where did we get, and how was that funded?
That's funded within the budget this year.
Okay.
So that's gonna lead to, we're also implementing the use of software to track all of the, going forward from that point. All this data will be put into the OpenGov software, and from that point on, all the work that's done at every facility will be entered in as work orders and tracked, and really shift the way we manage our facilities.
So that's more of an overall way to manage the buildings than just the decarbonization part. That's why the town is vested in.
Right.
um,
But obviously the decarbonization piece is pulled into that,
Right.
because if you're replacing HVAC equipment,
Right.
the conversation is, are we replacing this gas furnace with the gas furnace, or are we replacing it with the heat pump systems, or what have you, whatever your options may be. And so, I really actually think what we should focus on is, and this has been a conversation we've had with the select board recently, is an environmental policy, an overarching kind of policy that looks at a lot of different areas of the environment and what the town's policies are. And so we should have the select board have a policy that says, if you were replacing HVAC equipment, we should be looking at replacing that with electrified equipment versus fossil fuel. We should have a policy statement on that.
And we want to get something in about all new buildings, getting
Yeah.
up to a
Yes,
certain
and I
This
saw
is
that
some-
in your, there was some documentation that you sent me about a goal. Oh, that was your annual report,
Yeah.
I believe. And I'd really like to work with you on building that policy.
I was gonna say, on the climate action plan, I'm personally very happy that not only is it happening soon, but also,
Me
you
too.
know, it's really gonna be a useful document rather than just a
Yes.
report that we file.
And that's what I've wanted for this community and for all of you.
But the point I was gonna make is, I believe there's gonna be a challenge in making that consistent with the decarbonization roadmap and also with the comprehensive plan that's being done. So it's gonna be a challenge, I guess, to make sure that everything, there's no contradictions in the three documents because they're all supposed to be leading to the same
Yeah.
goal.
We had provided the planning director some comments towards just before they put the draft out. And I haven't gone back to him since, but I gave him, hey, these are the comments. We tried to make sure that we had comments for the comp plan that specifically said, hey, look, we're interested in decarbonization. So
Well-
hopefully that makes it in there. but
I know that, I believe what you're going to see in this process is kind of a broader decarbonization plan, not just focused on municipal government, but at the community as a whole. That's really what this is gonna lead to, is a bigger decarbonization roadmap.
That select board commitment that you were talking about would be supporting that trend.
Oh,
yes.
absolutely, yeah. I think the things you're talking about, the comprehensive plan, the work that's already been done is really just gonna be incorporated into this plan. Yeah, we're not gonna look at it as in a vacuum, we're gonna see what are the things that we're doing, what are the things we've said
In
all.
progress,
you know,
yeah.
Right, and just kind of fold that in.
Maybe it'll take 9 months.
That time flies, 9 months. It's almost summer.
Okay. That's a little helpful.
We hope, yeah.
Hopeful thinking, but, let's see.
Live through March.
I know, right?
March is so long.
We had a long discussion on the solar contracts, and I think it may make more sense if I just put this in writing and get it to you.
Sure.
You know, I was seeing things in the contract documents that was like, ew, this is, you know, I know that this is not a town contract, and therefore, as a result, there's things that didn't get in there that we probably would have wanted in a town contract.
What could you,
Specifically, the only mention I saw of prevailing wage, apprenticeship program, and domestic content was in a paragraph that said, oh, and if the costs exceed a certain percentage for the size of the type of plant, the contract should expect to get reimbursed for that. Which, what I would have liked to see was a requirement that said the contractor will meet the domestic content requirements and will meet the prevailing wage reporting requirements and will meet the apprenticeship requirements, because those are the basis for the tax credit. And there's just not, the language in there is in section 10.3. Like I said, it doesn't say he's going to do this. Hopefully, that there's an understanding that he will. But, like I said, that language is not in in either one of those contracts.
okay,
Um,
well, I mean,
Anyway, it's something to look at, and, you know, like I said, if the other, I had a lot of comments, but I'll try to be brief. Two of the projects, the DPW roof and 20 Overland Way, those are net metering projects. They are gonna require cap space under the Mass ACA, so whoever in the town has access to that will need to put those two up on those requirements. The town has got plenty of cap space, but Eversource has less and less every day that goes by, so the sooner we get that put in, the better. I assume maybe the director of facilities might have access to Mass ACA, or maybe we have nobody, but somebody needs to have access for the town to be able to put those two projects in. And not just, and then the water treatment plant is exempt from cap, so good to go. What else did I mention? Oh, Kim seemed to be right on board with this. Just mentioned that the water treatment plant array is bigger than what we'd recommended, which is fine, but there'll need to be a Schedule Z to transfer excess credits to other water facilities.
The water facility?
Yeah, so it can go to other pumps and stations and water tanks, it can go to all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just so that you're not just building credits on
Mhm.
the
Right.
water treatment plant, because you will build credits,
Right.
because it is bigger than what I would anticipate your needs are for that. And then lastly, 20 Overland Way, so that's the one I'm probably the least happy about.
Yeah, I mean, we had a conversation with them, they cannot build a system over 2 different parcels, which was an issue. So it was either cut down all the forest to the right or to the left of the facility and build all of it on there and none of it on the other parcel, which is already cleared, or do it on the small cleared section.
So this is not for now, I'm gonna say, because obviously we have 3 contracts, those all need to get executed. But we should be looking at a solar array directly connected to the wastewater treatment plant. And adjoining the plot that has the plant on it, that's kind of where we need it. And we need to think of it not as, and I mentioned this to the committee, we need to think about it, this wastewater treatment plant is going to be here probably 80 to 100 years from now. And so it's going to go through 4 sets of panels over that 100 years. We need to be building it for that long-term view that, hey, will be a savings for this facility, it'll be good for the environment. So at some point, we should be really looking at that. Obviously, I think with what we've got, you've got the capacity to make significant improvements to reducing energy costs for the town and for those facilities that can't have their own solar array meet their needs. But I think we need to think about coming back to the wastewater treatment plant with the long-term view, and I mean,
And you understand
long-term
that
view.
we'd not, even if we clear cut that whole section, we wouldn't be close to providing the energy needed for that facility.
It's gonna always be a challenge, because the energy needs are gonna continue to grow for that.
Yeah, I think we should actually be looking at other renewable sources of energy for that facility, not solar or wind, but actually the, what's it called, with the,
Biogas?
yeah, well, yes, just like with what MWRA has on Deer Island, obviously a smaller scale, but looking at some options around that as well. And Kim Grant and I have talked, the Mass CEC is coming up soon with some pilot funds to explore that sewer treatment facility, so could be
Anyway,
something.
that was my take on it was, like I said, I am concerned about the prevailing wage, apprenticeship, and domestic context, but I wasn't, size-wise, these are good sizes.
The only thing I can tell you on those first points is that council reviewed all those contracts for legality. I mean,
Yeah, I'm gonna say that
I have to rely on.
if it was
Council.
responding to a RFP we had, those would have been in the RFP as, this is a requirement, this is a requirement. Like on the domestic content, you might have said, okay, well, give me a price for building this, and oh yeah, give me an adder for meeting the domestic content requirement, but the only other thing, and I'm gonna measure one more thing. So I personally would not recommend Titan Energy to another municipality. I think, having seen what their costs are, there's much cheaper ways to get that. I know we were under a time crunch, and that kind of necessitated a faster approach to doing an RFP, but, so we're gonna live with that, of course, obviously. But like I said, I think there may have been other ways that we could have approached this if we weren't in the time crunch. That would have been more cost effective to the town and gotten, contracts that are municipal contracts that meet all of our requirements, because there are so many little ones that I think we're overlooking with these other contracts.
But I commend the speed in which you got it done.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it was a rocky ride, I'll tell you that. I was very worried that it was not gonna work.
Yeah. And we did manage to avoid having to go through Title IX justifications and all that, which would have postponed the project indefinitely. But that was also a big win.
Got the money out the door too to make that work, so.
Do you have a target site start date?
We don't yet, they've placed the order for the equipment though, so we're waiting on that piece to come through, and then they're likely gonna be presenting at the Board of Water and Sewer Commissioners meeting, just talking about, the board is seemingly very concerned about the removal of trees next to the water treatment facility. So they wanna know the details of that. Which they've known that's gonna happen, they just wanna know what the remediation piece is gonna be, so.
But the DPW roof should be pretty straightforward.
Yeah, yeah. So,
And the timelines are still consistent with making sure that we secure the federal tax credits.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned this, but, so had the DPW roof been tied in direct to the facility, using the power that comes off, you still had access for the excess production. But that's, if the exception is if, for a Class 2 facility, solar facility, is if you're using the power on site. Yeah. So if it's just net metering, that's what triggers that requirement to get it posted on the gas AC.
Well, the idea around that was that we were originally gonna have solar on the police station, and that wasn't gonna work. And so we wanted a system that we could utilize some of the power generation from DPW to offset some of the.
Well, you should be able to do that, but you would have been dealing with the excess production on a monthly basis. And so you could have sent it other places, which is, like I said, that's what you need to do with the water treatment plant, is the excess production monthly needs to go against other water treatment facilities, and that will keep you from having this buildup of credits on account there.
Right.
Okay, any other questions for the assistant town manager? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for putting up with me being late. I was working to balance this budget for you all for, by next week, so
Is it balanced?
I won't say yet.
Okay.
But we'll have it by next week. So, thank you.
Take care.
Thank you, good to see you, Happy New Year.
We're going to move on to item 8, which is a vote to approve the minutes for the December 11th, 2025 meeting. Can I get a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the December 11th as edited.
Can I get a second?
I second the motion.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor of adopting minutes?
Aye.
Unanimous?
Good. No revisions, that's great.
Moving on to item 9, adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
One
Just
quick-
a quick question, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Just FYI, I got an email from National Grid that they're gonna have a session in Eastham at the Council of Aging Friday, January 16th. It's not limited to Eastham residents, because they sent it to me, but it's if you have any questions about your gas bill or, how to save energy. I think a lot of it is if you're having problems paying the bill, what's available to you for budgeting or whatever. But anyway, that's the first time I've ever heard National Grid scheduling anything, reaching out, so,
Especially this far out on Cape Cod.
yeah, I
We don't
know,
have
yeah.
that many customers.
Next Tuesday, they're coming to replace my gas meter. I guess every 5 years, I think, it's some sort of a regular schedule, and so.
Yeah, I saw that same email, and I thought, hey, competition with the navigators.
Right, right.
But it's good, it's positive. No, my question was, for the meeting of the 13th, is there going to be any supporting documents, or is it pretty much based on the available goals that we had from the past?
Now, Roger did send out the goals for this year. I thought,
few months ago.
I will go look and see if that got to everybody. If not, then I will send that out.
Okay, that'd be great, so that at least we can
We
get
start
prepared.
with where we
Yes.
were. I've been reviewing the Cape Cod
Okay.
Commission's climate or
Okay.
municipal toolkit as a starting point for ideas.
Okay.
Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.